Hello, Rebound here. Well, things did not go according to plan yesterday. My foot hurt pretty badly all day long. I have sort of tried to stay away from the Aleve because I saw a former physician's assistant that was a through hiker at the Marianne when I stayed there. And he was telling me about all of the studies and what he believed about these different anti-inflammatories and other drugs. He said that both ibuprofen and Aleve, if I understood him correctly, can damage your kidneys and or your liver. He also said that in people over 60, I believe, there is more of a chance of stomach bleeds. And when I was at Lady Di's hostel, I threw up that one night and there were tinges of blood in it. And I've been thinking, well, I wonder if that was the Aleve, because that was about the time that I started taking the Aleve. So, I've been trying to limit and or avoid the Aleve. It does definitely seem to be helping more. Anyway, I took an Aleve about midday yesterday. When I got into Atkins, I went to the Long Neck Lair and I saw the alpacas. They apparently sell their wool or whatever it's called for hoodies and stuff. I've noticed that there are definitely fads on the trail since I've been in here. 2016, 2018, and 2024. This year, alpaca garments for warmth are all the rage. Hoodies are big, especially sun hoodies. And everyone has a canister stove. I don't think I've seen one other person with an alcohol stove, and I even went so far as to fill another bottle of fuel just in case I can't get it somewhere. But I'm not switching to a canister stove if I can help it. I have seen some people have a little device that I had never seen before where you can transfer the gas in one canister to another. And if I'm forced to go to a canister stove, I will do that. I'm going uphill right now, so I'm kind of out of breath. And I'm not doing a very good job with this morning report. I got to Long Neck Lair. The husband was there, and he didn't seem to know anything. He asked me multiple times if I had called. I said, yes, I called yesterday, and I talked to your wife. And told him I had a box there. He gave me my box. Then he called his wife. There was a little to-do there. I don't know. He finally took me to the bunk room. The bunk room was really small. There were already a bunch of guy hikers there. I have nothing against guy hikers. They were very nice to me. But because the place was so small and they did not have the air conditioning on, it smelled like hikers in there, pretty thick. And I was so dehydrated and hot. After yesterday's hike, I couldn't bear the thought of staying there, but the kicker was there were only upper bunks left. And the way that the stairs were done, it was where two corners came together, and they were like little triangular wedges in the corner. That would have been really hard for me. It would have put pressure on the spots that are really hurting right now. So I was so tired, so dehydrated, so frustrated. At that point, I was in pain. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go down to the Relax Inn. The Relax Inn was booked. So I sat on a bench there, one of the most stressful things I have to do, go through my box and try to organize it. Usually I will have planned my itinerary so I know if I can throw some food away. With my foot, my pack felt really, really heavy, and I had to throw some food away, not knowing whether I had any extra food to throw away, but I didn't think I could carry my pack. So I hiked about 2 more miles and stealth camped, which I was kind of glad of. I really enjoyed camping. I had wanted to camp. It cooled down nicely, and everybody was quiet and respectful, and I slept really well. So in the meantime, Bud has made me a reservation at the Appalachian Dreamer hostel, which I've stayed at before. It is run by a guy named Mac, and he is a Christian, and his rates are really reasonable. So I really don't know what my plan is yet. My foot is actually not hurting as much as it was yesterday morning, so that is completely unexpected and surprising. But the thing that is bothering me is that I have a sharp pain every time I try to roll my foot, and I can't hike fast. You're looking at a woman who cannot hike slow. I cannot walk slow. I try, but I eventually just speed up. Not with this injury, whatever it is. I'm beyond frustrated. Rabbit is continuing on her hike where she left. She's doing a flip-flop, which means she's going to hike up to Katahdin and then flip back down and catch all the places that she missed when she got off trail. She had wanted to reconnect with me, but my situation is so up in the air. I didn't want to have her come way down here and me not be able to keep up with her or slow her down or get off trail and have her be alone and hiking further south than she really wants to be. So I told her to spread her wings and fly. I hope the best for her. She is really determined, and I think she'll do well as long as her body holds up. And I met Sweet Potato at the hostel. I can't make any commitment with her. We thought that, we made some kind of a connection, and, with introverts, they have friends. They make friends differently than extroverts. When they make a friend, it's a friend for life. And they have just a handful of really good, close friends. Extroverts are friends to everybody. And I love that. Several of my good friends have been extroverts, and I love them. So, I have nothing against extroverts. We're just different. It just takes some understanding and patience with the differences that we have, and to try to understand each other. So anyway, I don't know whether Sweet Potato is an extrovert or an introvert. She strikes me as an introvert, but she's really been kind of not enjoying her hike because she hasn't found many women our age out there, so it just sort of seemed like it might have been meant to be, but I don't know. I don't know what God's plan is. The difference in this hike between my other 2 hikes is that I have said publicly I'm hiking God's hike. Whatever His will is for me out here, I'm going to do. Of course, I do want to finish the trail, but if it's not God's will for me to finish the trail and there's something else that He is trying to accomplish in me out here, or whose life I am supposed to touch, then I am submitted to that, and I'm okay with it. I just need to know. I don't know. I am trying to do one day at a time, but it's kind of difficult because at the same time, I can't help but think I need to be walking. I need to be on the trail. So that's where I'm at on that right now. I will be devastated if I have to get off trail. But I also got to say, regarding to what I just said about whatever God's purpose is out here, I have probably prayed for more people out here who I've come across than I did on my other 2 hikes. And I've seen more divine appointments than I have on the other 2 hikes, and I feel more like this is God's hike. I know I'm not doing everything perfectly. I know I get in the way sometimes. I know I'm impatient, but I am trying, and it's in the forefront of my mind to do so and allow Him to have His way, whatever it is. My foot, I think I said this already, please forgive me if I have, but my foot is hurting far less than it did yesterday morning, which is kind of freaky to me. I'm still limping because I don't even know how to describe it. When I put my full weight on it, it's kind of like a sharp pain. So I am to call Mac when I get to the top of the hill and I have service, and he will pick me up at VA 610. There are 2 locations where he can pick up from. The last time I stayed with him, I got picked up some miles before. Can't remember the road or the mile marker. The deer are highly upset. I got a beautiful pan of the sunrise this morning, and I heard them snorting. I couldn't tell where it was coming from, and then they all took off, but they snorted for a long time before they ever started running. And I can't think of much else. I'm really dragging this on. I'm speaking much worse than normal with all of the pauses and the monotone, so I think I'm going to call this a wrap. This is Rebound, signing out. One other thing about introverts is that they like to talk about meaningful things rather than polite chit-chat. I have gotten much better at making polite chit-chat, especially with hikers, because we have that common thing, and talking about gear, our hikes, things we've seen on the trail, when we started, just different things like that. And we even talk about the weather. But introverts like to talk about meaningful things. With Sweet Potato and I, we were talking about our childhoods, our hang-ups, our theories on nutrition, and things like that. To introverts, that is the way you really get to know someone. And the hikers I've had conversations with about hiking and the weather and gear, I often have to re-ask them what their trail name is if we haven't made some sort of, connection. That's the only thing I know to say about it. Something where you feel like you know the person rather than talking about superficial things like hiking. And that's the way it is also when you meet Christians, because we have a common bond and that we are Christians. We can talk about the Bible, our Christian walk. We can pray for one another. It's just some unspoken thing. I guess some would call that a soul tie. And soul ties can be either good or bad. But I won't start preaching at you. So I just had to add that little thing in there about introverts. The total miles of the trail change a little bit each year because every year there is rerouting of the trail. So I don't know how new this sign is, but this means that I've done a quarter of the trail. Hello. My foot is feeling so much better. It's almost miraculous. Bud told me that he sent out an all points bulletin to all of my Christian lady friends and asked them to pray for me. And I believe that this is nothing short of a miracle. I'm barely walking with a limp. I would say that the pain level is a true 1 or 2. Looking back, yesterday was not a 2. Knowing what a 2 feels like, this is probably a 2. And I'm just amazed. This is probably the most pain-free I've been before it all started, because I was not this pain-free at the Marianne. And I was not this pain-free when I left Damascus. So I'm calling it pain-free, but it's probably about a level 2. And I'm not having that sharp ache. It definitely feels fragile. But yesterday, I was sure my through hike was ending. Today, I can imagine going on. So I think I am doing about probably about 8 or 10 miles today, going into the Appalachian Dreamer Hostel. The guy who owns it is sort of a friend. I met him in 2018 and stayed there for several days. He slack-packed us, a group that was there in 2018, and sort of got to know him. He's a Christian brother and just a very sweet, hospitable man. So looking forward to staying at his hostel, and I should be at the pickup point by around 2. I just saw him. He said he walks 8 miles every day, and he was going to come up there if my foot was doing really bad and carry my pack for me. I think he is probably in his 80s. So that was very humbling that he would be willing to do that, and I'm so glad that my foot is feeling better today. So that is it for the afternoon report. This is Rebound, signing out. It is so beautiful here. I do so love the pastures. And if I was a cow, I would love for this pasture to be my home. Spring is springing.